why is raising questions about the safety of vaccines a no-go zone on the left?
Well, you know, it's interesting because it's not consistent with the traditional liberal posture of skepticism towards large corporate power, and particularly the pharmaceutical industry,
yes,
and government agencies. And CDC has been characterized by at least 4 federal studies as a cesspool of corruption because of its pervasive interactions, entanglements, I would say, with the vaccine industry. The CDC vaccine branch is really a subsidiary of the vaccine industry. It sells $4.1 billion worth of vaccines a year. It spends about $4.6 billion, almost half of its budget, promoting vaccines, and it only spends $20 million testing vaccines. That's good for a tiny handful of the vaccines we have. One of the problems, and you know, I've been meeting recently with the heads of the various federal agencies, and one of the kind of shocking things about vaccines is that there's very little safety testing. If you have a normal drug, let's say Vioxx or Viagra, if you want to bring that to market, typically FDA requires you to do double-blind placebo studies. So you take 9,000 people, give them the pill, 9,000 people, and give them a pill that's identical except it's just sugar. And then you watch typically for around 5 years and see if there's harm.
Yes.
With vaccines, all of those requirements are waived.
I don't know what to think of that. I have many children. I had them all vaccinated. I'm not against vaccines. But I am for asking sincere questions, and I suspect...
Exactly.
I'm deeply suspicious of people who shout down those questions on the basis of the fact they're unfashionable. So I still don't understand why all of a sudden you're not allowed to ask sincere questions. I don't think you're getting paid for this, are you?
No, I'm not. In fact, I'm getting unpaid for this. It's been probably the worst career move that I've ever made. But you know, it's deeply concerning to me because if you look at the vaccine schedule was expanded dramatically in 1989. In 1987, Congress passed a law giving blanket immunity from liability to vaccine manufacturers. So suddenly vaccines became pay dirt. There was a gold rush to put new vaccines on the schedule. I got 3 vaccines when I was a kid and I was fully compliant. My children got 69 vaccines. Today's children got 74 vaccines, 74 shots of 16 vaccines. So, and nobody has ever tested what all those vaccines do together. And in fact, many of the vaccines have not been tested at all for the illnesses that are associated with them.
I don't know what the answer is, but I know what the questions ought to be, and you always have a place in the show to ask them. Anyone with sincere questions.
You know, that is very kind and courageous of you because, as you know, most television hosts will not let you on to talk about this issue. On the evening news, typically 17 out of 24 advertisements are pharmaceutical advertisements, and most hosts are frightened of that. So I am very grateful to you for your willingness.
I don't think we ought to be afraid of honest questions, and I think you're asking them. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tucker.